Hey kids, it's Hyperdellic. We're gonna do something different today. I know what you're saying. Oh my god, where's his hands? No, they're here. They're here. They're here. Don't worry. I still have them. I promise. They haven't gone anywhere. I didn't get them amputated or nothing like that. I'm not one of those weird people who feels that need to have body parts amputated. You ever hear of those folks? That's some weird stuff. If you're one of those folks, I'm really sorry. I hope that maybe this video will make you laugh and you can forget about that for a little while. Oh, wow. Didn't know I was going to go there today. So, I wanted to do a video because I've been kind of focusing on creating YouTube content for about 2 months now. Since maybe the middle of November, right? And I think I got like 100 some odd videos online now. Which I needed to build up some videos and just have something there as a presence for people who hit my page. I'm probably going to slow down on putting out reviews for a little while. I'm going to probably focus on still doing reviews, always doing reviews. That's going to be something that I'm always going to do, mainly because I promised my wife that whenever I buy a toy or an action figure, I'm going to review it so that I'm at least getting more than just dopamine out of that toy, right? My wife is a smart woman. She's a thinker. She keeps me on track sometimes. Sometimes I keep her on track. We're very symbiotic. We're like parasites feeding off of one another. But again, I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but I have ADHD and a hard time staying on track. I got a freaking outline sitting here in front of me. And I haven't followed it yet. Oh, look, a kitty. Part of this channel is documenting how a person functions in the real world with ADHD. So, like I said, the purpose of this video, I want to go into kind of give you a quick little who is Hyperdellic and like what I'm doing. Some of you may not want to know. And Allison Troy, I'm not going to talk about Arby's today. I don't know why. I got to let it go now. Anyways, the purpose of this video is to kind of just discuss where I'm at, what I've learned, and where I'm going to go. For anybody who actually cares, you know, part of me doing my little journey on YouTube is that I want to document some of it. I don't want to document all of it. I'm not one of those folks that has to have their face on TV. Like, I don't. What I want is some of my creations out there, you know? Like, I don't consider myself super pretty to look at, so I ain't trying to force you guys to look at me all the time either. But I'm not hideous. I mean, you know, like I'm not all Quasimodo'd out or nothing. I'm a little chubby, you know. Some people like bears. I am married to a woman. I'm straight, but my life has been filled with people of many different categories, many different walks of life, many different cultural backgrounds, many different religious backgrounds. I have always been like born and raised in Chicago and the surrounding Chicago suburbs for most of my life. A little bit of time in Texas when I was a kid. But for the most part, living in the Chicagoland area. And what Chicago teaches you is how to live in kind of peaceful conjunction with other people, you know, that don't necessarily live the same way that you do. The other wonderful thing about Chicago, food. Even if you find some people's cultures a little weird, man, food is just a single unifying thing of the world. I only met one person in my life, and this was back when I worked at Dick's Last Resort. This was a bartender. Uh, I've only met one person, that person, that didn't like food. He just didn't like eating. He said it was gross. And I was like, oh man, I feel for you, brother. I don't remember his name. Really nice chap, though. Uh, you know, the other fun thing about talking to folks on YouTube is um, um, it's you get to learn new colloquialisms. Like the other day, my friend Adam from Radical Toys taught me this great phrase they say in Canada: the cat's ass. That's the cat's ass. I'm gonna say it all the time now, just not on YouTube because I try to stay remotely evergreen. But if you met me in my normal life, you'd be like, dude, you swear a lot. My daughter's always yelling at me. She's like, Daddy, you gotta cut it out. You're so foul. I'm like, I'm not. It's effing fine. I have been working. And actually, YouTube's been helping. But just a little bit about who I am. You know, I grew up in a lot of different places, you know, but Chicagoland was one of the major areas where I've been for most of my life. Not always in the same place, but all over the place. These days, I am much more stable, and I live in the same place for a very long time. But I was all over the place when I was a kid. So I think that actually affected the kind of person that I am. I met lots of people in my life. I have met some very interesting characters throughout my entire life. Some famous people, some not so famous people, some people who have become famous. I know a very famous YouTuber, and I don't know if she remembers that I know her, but we used to canvas together, and it was a long time ago. Hi, Ari. That's not what you go by. You go by your real name now, but hello, Ari. I know who you are. And I don't know if you remember me, but yeah, I know a really famous YouTuber. Well, I used to. And I have met a lot of really genuine and amazing people. Once knew a kid named Mike. He wanted to study dirt. One of the best people I've ever met in my whole world. um, I'm Polish and Italian, and my parents on my father's side, they're Polish, you know, and well, my dad and my stepmom. My stepmom's not Polish, but you know, she's part of the Polish family now, you know. But they're always very sarcastic, right? My mom's side of the family, my like biological mom's side of the family, they're very sarcastic, but they're a lot more crass and go for it kind of humor. Right? it's uh it's truck lot humor. It's pirates are right. So and my dad's side of the family was has always been a lot more conservative and a little bit more, you know, clean living, not crass, not crazy, not loud, not in your face. So I've always grown up with these two polar opposites in my life. Again, another contributor to who Hyperdellic is. I'm a little weird. I'm all over the place. And not just because of ADHD. Like I've had so many different like influences in my life. How did I get into YouTubing, one might ask? I mean, telling my whole story, it almost seems natural that I would end up making my way onto YouTube. Everything winds up making it here. But, you know, I started out as a graphic designer in my 20s. Then in my 30s, I needed to recreate myself as somebody with a job that was important. And what's more important than being a teacher, right? So I did that for a long time. and I really wanted to make a change in the world. When I was a graphic designer, I wanted to make a name for myself, right? And some would say I'm following like a textbook, the Hindu stages of life or something. Like when I was younger, I was fighting that, I was selfish and I wanted it for myself, right? But then I got into a place in my life where I wanted to change the world, right? I have this saying that I preach to my children, and I try to be that. Uh, be a shining example of the world you want to live in. That's Hyperdellic in a nutshell. I want a world where people can be honest. I want to live in a world where honesty doesn't have to hurt people, right? We can be honest in our words and our feelings without being nasty, right? We can be kind. I'm not saying beat around the bush, but there's always a different way. Always a different way. No matter what situation you're in, there's always a different way, right? You just have to choose to find it. And sometimes, even for old hype, that's a hard lesson to follow. So just because the wisdom's there doesn't mean that I can always access it right when I need it. Sometimes we forget the wisdom that we carry in us. And that's why it's important to take a moment and pause, right? And if I had enough subscribers, right now is where I would like probably do some sponsored stuff or something. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do that now. Because I got crazy views and lots of people that return, but they're not subscribing. Do it. I get it. I'm funny. Forget to hit the button before the end. Hit it. I need it. You want to see me more? You got to hit it. Smash that like button. That's another part of YouTube that cracks me up is the whole we got to sell it. You got to sell it because you do. You have to sell it. What are you going to do? Be anti-YouTube on YouTube? That sounds stupid. Why even be here? um, so I was a graphic designer for a while. That was my me phase, right? I was aspiring to be a great, artist. I wanted to work for like Leo Burnett or something like that as one of their head design, graphic artists or something. Little did I know that that's like it's like shooting monkeys in a no, that's not like shooting monkeys at all. Huh? It's one of the hardest things you could do. um, and even nowadays, there are so many graphic designers out there, and half of the things that used to take us so much skill to do in graphic design, you can do with a freaking app nowadays. Okay, like I hate to say it if you're a graphic designer out there, but a lot of your job is becoming automated. I mean, look at AI. Even I use AI for all kinds of weird stuff. Um, check out my community tab on on my on my on my channel's homepage. I got some fun stuff up there. But what I wanted to do was change the world, and I've started to realize that we do change the world, and that's when I started to have that ethos that I said that I teach my kids, the be an example of the world that you wish to live in. It's the only way some of us like can change the world. You can't expect A to change the world overnight, and B you can't expect that you are going to be the one that makes that lasting change. But if you don't try and you don't try to live your life a certain way, then you never will. And those that use you as an example won't lead great lives either. So, I mean, sometimes it's about what you want to pass on to the next generation, what you want to pass on to the people that look up to you and idolize you. I think I'll say a little bit more of that, a little bit later, but and then I was working on a teaching degree, and I fell into managing a gas station for a little while, and I met my wife, and she had a daughter, and that's my stepdaughter, and that's my kid, and I love the hell out of her, and I miss her because she's not at home anymore. She has her own house, and she's a big kid. But it was funny, like, that's what my life became, was my kids. I've got her, and I've got my little one who's going to be 9 soon. And it's like I told my older daughter once. Sometimes you think you want certain things, and sometimes you think you just know exactly what you want out of life. And then all of a sudden something comes out of nowhere and hits you like a brick through your front plate glass window, like your picture window, smack you right in the head. It's like, bam, this is what I want. And that was my family, my wife and my kids. When I was younger, I didn't want a family. I didn't think that I was cut out to be a family type person. I thought I was destined to be single and childless and living that, bachelor life for my entire life, die lonely. That's not the way to look at it either. Sometimes people are independent, and it's good to be independent. Um, but it's also good to have people in your life. We're human. We need people in our lives. There's nothing wrong with wanting people in your lives. Anyways, so yeah, I wound up managing a gas station, and then I wound up in a factory job, and I was making decent money, had insurance, had benefits, all that stuff. I've got that. I still got that now. I mean, I'm not there anymore, but I've got all of that stuff without that. But I wasn't happy, right? I mean, like, I love my family, and that part of my life was fulfilling for that part of me. But there was something missing. There has been something missing in my life for a long time. And it's not love, because I got that. I've got some amazing love in my life. Love like I've never had before in my life. Like, my life is so much better on that front than it's ever been. And for those of you who don't have kids and maybe are considering it or on the fence, man, you make your own buddy. My daughter, my kids. I love my older daughter. She's cool as hell. Like, she cracks me up. She's stupid and silly, just like me and my wife. But she's brilliant, and she's good. And my younger daughter is so talented and funny and smart, and she genuinely cracks me up. Um, I never thought I was going to be the family dude, right? I always thought I was going to be partying and drinking and woo, all right, let's hit another one. You know, I, I never, I didn't think that I was going to slow down in life. And I don't know. Once I started planning ahead for a family and trying to do the financials and all of that stuff, and be a 9 to 5er, even though that's not the hours that I used to work. But like, all of those things are things that I love, and I appreciate my family. My family has never, like, really made me miserable. Um, I I depend on my family. My family is there for me when I need them. They've got their own lives too, but man, when I'm not having a good day and my little one gives me a hug, it's love like I've never felt before in my life. And I'm not going to keep getting deep on it, because otherwise I'm going to get all choked up. My little girl brings warm tears to my eyes all the time. It's crazy. it's an experience that I am richer for. But even with all of that in my life, there was still something missing. Something. And honestly, I think it was my creative exploits. Like when I was younger, I used my creativity as my job. In school, for my education degree, I used my artistic knowledge and skill to help me with my projects and papers, and it just made so much better the work that I would turn in. my my papers would have like full color page spreads and stuff. Bougie. But but even that, like, that wasn't fulfilling me either. I wasn't doing art for myself. And recently, like over the years, there was one point where I was super miserable and my wife made me go out and buy a camera. Right? She said, if this is going to make you happy, go do it. And I played around with it and I dabbled with it, and I love photography. That's who I am. I'm a creative person. I love taking interesting angled photos. I love finding things. I love doing toy photography, obviously. I mean, it's one of my favorite things. And that was another thing that I started to enjoy again, was my toys. Like I went for a period of about 15, 20 years where I didn't buy a single toy for myself. I My vintage toys were all boxed up at my dad's house, and I had thrown away a lot of my old vintage toys, like back when I was in college, because I was like, what do I need toys for? There's women to be had. Right? Because that's what us idiot men do. Ladies, I am a caring, kind, sensitive dude. I, I try to be respectful of all women. But the truth is that when I was younger, I was a hornball like every other guy. I was a lot better looking too. I was a lot better looking when my wife married me. So, you know, give her a little credit. I didn't always look like this. But yeah, I, you know, I started playing around with YouTube years ago, just putting some like game videos up and stuff like that, and I took them down. When I first had a YouTube account, I used it to put family videos up and stuff like that. I don't know. I was never thinking about doing a channel. I didn't think I was ever going to get, famous or anything like that. I'm not even trying to be famous. I'm just trying to have some fun with my toys. And I've found that there's a bunch of people out there that also like to have fun with their toys. And so I have been welcomed into a really cool community of a lot of really neat, fun, funny, interesting people. Quirky, like I've definitely encountered a couple of situations where I was like, huh, well, I don't know how to handle this, but I'm just going to be kind and respectful, you know? And I think that's one of the best ways to approach any situation you don't know how to handle. Be kind, be respectful, right? Um, YouTubing, like with my enjoyment of technology and software, like I'm kind of I used to be a bit of a Linux aficionado, and I used to build my own machines and stuff like that. I'm not talking like putting together my own processors and stuff like that, but like, taking boards, putting components together, and, simplified building a machine. Um, and they weren't always great, let me tell you. But I could make some old hardware do new tricks. It was always fun. That's what Linux was fun for. But I when I started watching, toy tubers and stuff like that, I've been watching people like Pixel Dan and Robo, Dan Larson, you know, and I started watching, some of the Adam from Radical Toys likes to refer to as the next generation of toy tubers, because you have like your Pixel Dans and Robo and everybody, and Shartimus and all of those guys. And then there's some of us who are smaller, obviously. I mean, I've only got like 200 some odd subs. Uh, but I've also only been producing content for about 2 months now. And I think I started out with 12 subscribers that were like just random weird people here and there, and friends, close friends, but I wasn't really serious about my YouTube channel. And I started, getting into commenting in live streams and talking to folks. And you know what? I started talking to Adam from Radical Toys often on YouTube during his live streams. And Mega J. I've been talking to Mega J here and there for years now. We're not like friends or close or anything like that, but he always says hi to me, and I always try to give him a shout out here and there. Mega J has blown the hell up in the last few years, and I think that's awesome. He's a very nice guy, and he's a good example of what I want out of my channel. I want a little bit more social interaction with folks in the community. I want to actually do some good stuff with my channel too. I'm not going to try and raise money for charity, but I do want to I think I maybe want to like start trying to donate some figures here and there to some of the charities around here. Maybe do a toy review and then donate that figure to a charity that helps kids. Or my wife had a great suggestion. There's some women's shelters in Northwest Indiana that they've got kids and the kids need toys. So uh, I would like to do stuff like that. I want to try to give back to the community. I want to try and help build a bigger Northwest Indiana toy community. I'll talk about it more towards the end of the video, but there's a couple of things coming up in Indiana that I want to participate in, and maybe if you guys are in the area, you can too. Uh, I definitely want to do some more of the average toy tuber stuff. Some more shopping videos. There's a couple of really cool places out here that I want to take you guys to. There's this great little antique mall that like has such an awesome selection of all sorts of toys. New toys, old toys, vintage toys, box toys, package. I mean, like, I spent $40 in this place, and I walked out with about 4 or 5 different things that I had been looking for. So, and it's not just toys. This place has all kinds of stuff, but they've got like there's just toys everywhere. It was a person with ADHD's nightmare, because it was like, ooh, look a kitty, ooh, look a kitty, ooh, look a kitty, ooh, look at, it was like, holy cow, ping, 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 ping. There was actually, I told my wife the other night, there was a moment where I had to like stop myself and stand off to the side and just kind of stare. Like one lady was asking me, she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yep, just a little oversensitized. She was like, I know, right? This place is crazy. So it's like, I want to show you guys some of those places. Like, there's a place out here called Crown Point Toys. They've got a great selection. I actually want to pick through some of their loose in bag stuff, because there's some customs that I need to try to do, and I can try and find it online, but sometimes they have a really good price right there in the store. Closet Collectibles, that's another one that's out in Crete. But that's not technically in Northwest Indiana, but it is out in my area. Me and my buddy Chief went there once, and that place is just crazy. It's like this big house that somebody turned into a toy store, and they don't live there. The whole entire house is a toy store. Like, it's the whole thing. It is amazing. But it was one of the funner toy stores that I've been to. So I want to take you guys there too. I want to start finding toy stores in Northwest Indiana that are going to be there. But again, I'll tell you more about the future of the channel towards the end. Right now, I want to talk about what I've learned from doing YouTube in the last 2 months. And keep in mind, This is a very novice viewpoint of what has been learned from YouTube. I have not been on YouTube for years. I've been on YouTube for months. Okay, so take anything that I say with a huge pinch of salt, because I may or may not be making the right observations. But I think one of the most obvious things about YouTube and content creation is you have to make content that you are passionate about. Now, there's a lot of YouTube content out there that is negative. And some people are really passionate about negative things. That's not hype. I have a sarcastic wit. Sometimes I come off being a little on the negative side, but I'm not necessarily a negative person. I I I understand that there are always two ways to look at something, positive and the negative. And sometimes there's multiple ways to look at things, and there's many different shades in between those positive and negative. Um, you have to you have to be passionate, because if you're not passionate, you're going to be boring, right? And sometimes people, the only thing they're passionate about is being angry. I get that. But that's just not the YouTube I want to help make. Uh, it, if I'm not feeling a figure, you're going to be able to tell in that review. Okay, that's why I try to be as honest about everything when I'm reviewing a figure as I possibly can. I'm not going to not be negative. I'm not going to just put only positives. I'm not going to be the fluffball reviewer. I'm not going to be like, I'm gushing about this no matter what. I gush about a lot of figures that you guys have seen me review, but that's because I wanted to review them. I wanted that figure in the first place. There was something about that figure that already went, hype has to have that. you know? And you guys all have that same reaction. Everybody does. That's another thing about this, is like what got me into doing the toy tubing thing is I'm passionate about my toys. I love action figures ever since I was a kid. Um, I love it. I love these things. I'm not I'm not a poser, you know. I didn't collect. I wasn't collecting during classics, and I wasn't collecting during 2000X. Like, if you want to look at the MOTU timeline, I had bought toys here and there, but I wasn't really I wasn't trying to build a collection back then. Yeah. So I mean, because I love my action figures and I've always had an appreciation for action figures, what I'm doing on YouTube here should show that. I mean, at least I hope so. If you guys think I'm not, please, you tell me I'm phoning it in. And maybe I am, and maybe I do have to look at something. But that's how I am. I'll take your criticism, and I will look at it and go, all right, well, let's examine myself. Do I feel like I'm doing that? Right? Again, there are some days where I don't want to create. And I've learned that it's honestly smarter to not, because sometimes your fire and your passion isn't there for it, right? You got to create a little bit every week though, right? And that's the next thing that I've learned about YouTube. You got to stay consistent. Um, you can take some time off, here and there. Take a vacation, obviously. Don't ever feel like you are locked in and you can never stop this. Um, maybe if something like that is a fear of yours, don't ever try to depend on YouTube for an income. Like, I'm not making an income off of YouTube. I don't really expect to ever. That could change. I was kind of low grade popular in a video game at one point. This game, Blox World. It's kind of coming back. It's sort of like how Roblox and Minecraft is, like in that like sandboxy sort of building oriented game. Only this game is truly oriented around building objects, vehicles, things that will work and can be controlled and scripted, and you can create games or you can create some kind of simulation or whatever. There's all sorts of things that you could do with this old app. It's not available anymore, right? There is a company called Fortel Games that recently, I believe, purchased the rights to it, and they're now currently working on trying to make a new version of it to get out on current platforms. How long it will take them, I do not know. Any of my friends from Blox World, yes, I am keeping my ear to the ground, but I don't know when that'll happen. But in Blox World, I think the last time I checked, I had like 21,400 some odd followers. So I wasn't like low grade anything, you know, like I had a pretty big following. And that was just in one game, right? So I'm trying to apply what I used to do there here. I do. I treat this like it's a game a little bit. You know, it's like, what can I do this time? How can I make this better? It's sort of like YouTube creator, you know, a simulator or something. Only I'm doing it for real. But in YouTube creation, you do have to keep creating. I mean, even their pay model is set up to make it where you have to keep on creating, otherwise you can't just make a bunch of videos that are just going to keep getting views and you just keep, you know, getting paid. No, you have to keep creating. You're always going to be creating. My content, I've been putting out a lot of content over the last 2 months. That's more than likely going to slow down. But I would say create all the different forms of media that YouTube gives you as categories. You know, create shorts, create live streams, do live streams, go live with things, edit videos and make edited videos that are really nice looking. Do quick little blurbs, make quick little funny things. You know, I love creating cartoons that are not hand-drawn cartoons, you know, unconventional, you know, little action figure, stick figure, you know, puppet theater, you know, like Hyperdellic's weird like that, you know, like sometimes that's how I pregame. You know, before I do a video, I get silly and I grab a couple of figures. I'm like, oh, He-Man, you know, like freaking He-Man and Skelly right here, baby. You know, I sometimes you gotta get yourself pumped up, and that's another, you know, word of advice that I can give you before you create content. You know, raw, I'm ready. You know, like whatever you gotta do. You know, you be like that little girl who was standing on the counter on. She's always on AFE. You know, they show that video all the time where she's like, "You're awesome, and you're gonna do great." And do what you gotta do. You know you do you. But show your love for what you're doing. I mean, if you're doing a murder mystery, you know, show, definitely don't pregame like Hype just did. And you know, don't drink too much either. If you're pre-gaming with some actual like chemistry, go easy. You know, don't go full-blown alcoholic because you want to have a YouTube career. You know, find other ways to handle the anxiety. One other thing of advice I can say about YouTube content creation is put it out there. A lot of times you get this whole hesitation paralysis, you know, like you hesitate and don't move forward. Like for years I thought about creating a YouTube channel, but I was just like, I'm not that funny. I'm not that entertaining. I'm not that good. Turns out some people think I am. And even if I never grow beyond, what am I at, 216 subscribers right now? Which brings me to my next point. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And you got to sell yourself on YouTube. There's another thing. You can't be afraid to sell yourself. If you're against YouTube, well, then don't be on it because It's tailored to push meta that YouTube wants seen. If you're going to be bashing Google and YouTube constantly, their AI is going to, recognize that in the videos, and you're going to get bumped down. I'm not saying kiss Google's butt. I'm just saying, avoid content that's going to get you kicked down. Like, I talk about environmentalism sometimes in my toy reviews. That's a risk, right? Because there could be somebody out there who's like, F environmentalism. I mean, if they are, I get it. My channel's not going to be for you. But the truth is that if you're not being honest to who you are, you're not going to be able to like keep your audience anyways. So like, if you're like, oh, this guy's an idiot talking about less packaging, I don't want to hear it, I'm going to keep doing it. I believe in it. And so do some of the toy companies. They're obviously listening to some of us when we say, hey, stop building Garbage Island. We don't need another continent. We're good. I don't need microplastics all over my brain. It's going to kill us. But don't get too into it. If you're doing toy reviews and you start getting real political, nobody's going to follow that. Who wants that in a toy review? You know what most people want in toy reviews? Toys. Right? You want toys. In the toy community, there are a lot of there's a lot of toy content that doesn't have any damn toys in it. Come on, guys. Toys. Show your toys. Maybe Hyper's gonna do. I want to maybe do a live stream once a week where we all. It'll be like Hyperdellic show and tell, right? We'll all have one figure that we all do on that live stream, or at least, or even if you've already opened it or something like that, you show it off and you just be like, dude, this is why I got this. That's the future, maybe. But again, get stuff out. Don't let things stand in your way of doing stuff. Next advice is experiment. Experiment. Let me take a moment to let you set that in, because I'm getting a little cottony here talking. Part of creativity is experimentation. If you're not experimenting, you're not creating, right? Because experimenting is doing something you haven't done sometimes. Seeing if something new works. Trying something different. I've seen tons of YouTubers try something different. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. I have tried a bunch of stuff. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. Some of it works and I'm still not going to do that. Right? Like I had this one short of Superman. It's over 1,400 views, which is pretty for one of my shorts. I mean, I only have 200 subscribers. But I'm not a big McFarlane fan. I'm a big fan of Todd McFarlane, and I'm a big fan of Spawn. I'm a fan of Spawn. I wouldn't say I collect anything Spawn, but I recognize. And I've always loved the cartoon, the original animated series. I got to say animated series because it was not a cartoon. The one that was from HBO. That was great. The movie was good. It was fine. John Leguizamo was the bomb in that movie. But I'm not big into McFarlane figures, so I'm probably not going to do a ton of that, even though that was great. But that's another example of like, if you only want to do what the meta is going to push into other people's, feeds, then you watch your analytics and you see what does best. And I mean, if that was something that I wanted to do, I would go out and start grabbing as many McFarlane figures as I could. I mean, you'd see nothing but Batman. This would probably become a Batman and Superman channel. I am not trying to become a Batman and Superman channel. If I did, I wouldn't be being genuine to the work. Um, but experiment. Try something new. Just because it's not necessarily something you're into doesn't mean that you won't enjoy it once you've tried it. As is so many things in life. Whew. Boy, you could go in a lot of different directions with that one. But yeah, I think it's necessary to the creative process. If you're not experimenting, you're just not trying hard enough. If you're not doing something different, you can shoot something and you don't have to put it up. You can edit it and finish with it and play around with it and then be like, oh, this is trash. I can't do this. And you can ditch it. That's okay. Um, try not to spend too much money on it. But yeah. Um, I think the next thing that I've learned about YouTube, and it's not something I like knowing, and it's not something I enjoy about YouTube, but it is a reality of YouTube. Hate does better than kindness and niceness on YouTube. I know plenty of channels on YouTube that are good feeling channels. I follow Good Vibe Gaming, things like that where people are more focused on positive. Do I have the capability of being negative? Oh, absolutely. I could do a toy review and do nothing but crap on it, right? I could. I really could if I let myself. But I also try to remember that to everything there are many different angles. Some are good, some are bad, some are in between, like I said, you know. Be the example on YouTube that you want the world to be. Whether you whether you like this or not, putting yourself out there as an entertainer, people are going to look up to you. Is that maybe not a great idea? I try not to look up to entertainers, but there are people that do. And kids, mainly, most impressionable. Am I saying you should nerf the world and be something you're not? Absolutely not. Mr. Home Arcade is one of my favorite YouTubers, and he is one of the most inappropriate mofos I've ever heard on YouTube. the fact that he gets away with some of the stuff that he does. I'm like, bravo, buddy. I love you, man. Good job on you. Like, he makes me laugh. There are some YouTubers that are highly inappropriate and really messed up, and they're some of my guilty pleasures. I'm not going to admit to them because then people will be like, they'll think weird things about me. But because we all have like our guilty pleasures where we're like, oh my God, I love this kind of video. Like Master Versal Toy Hunter. Eldor. Eldor is one of my guiltiest pleasures on YouTube. Not because of anything bad about Eldor, but just because the second you look and you see this guy in an Eldor mask, and who outside of the MOTU community knows who the heck Eldor is? Nobody. Half of the people in the MOTU community don't know who Eldor is. The character from Master Zeo, not Master Versal Toy Hunter. I think we all know Eldor. Eldor, I love you, man. Like a bra. Bra. You are one of my favorite YouTubers. Like, I love your content. I will stop what I'm doing to watch Eldor's content. And some folks would say he still has an older style of editing and stuff like that. I don't care. That's what I like about Eldor. Eldor is Eldor, right? And he is a positive YouTuber. He tries to do positive things. And he's funny. He's hilarious. He doesn't have to be gross and mean to be funny either. Sure, some of it's tongue-in-cheek dad humor, but I love that kind of humor. That's still valid, funny stuff. you know? It doesn't all have to be Bill Burr all the time. you know? Sometimes it could be Mr. Rogers telling a joke. That's still funny. Actually, that would be pretty funny. Mr. Rogers was telling a dirty joke, oh, I would pay to have that on tape. I do love the one where he was counting and he ends up with the middle fingers up, and he was just counting, but man, everybody's like, Mr. Rogers was throwing up the middle finger. One of the best photos ever. But hate does do well on YouTube. That doesn't mean that you have to hate. Think about what you want. Do you want to live a life where you have to be negative all the time? Do you want to live a life where you're just word diarrheaing every nasty thing that comes to your head? You don't want to. I mean, it's like eating Arby's and then you get diarrhea on the roadside. I love you, Allison. You're the best, man. I gotta give a shout out to Allison Troy. She is also one of my favorite YouTubers because she is also very true to herself. That woman has no fear in telling you what she is about to tell you. And I love that about her. She is open and relatively honest with who she is and how she feels. That is a refreshing kind of person, right? Like, somebody who's not going to fuck around. I mean, except for fucking around in the fun way, all right? Goofing around. I try to make most of my content evergreen. I do. The terminology that, we have in YouTube, evergreen means, you try to make it good for everybody. Do I let a hell or a crap every now and again slip? Yeah. Have I bleeped out my own swear words with my own beep? Yes, I have. And enjoyed making that part of the video going, hee hee. Like, I've always wanted to be my own beep. And like, doing things like the singing. That's stupid and funny, and it came out of necessity. One day I'll tell you about it. It's a silly story. It's not that big, but it honestly is just like, I think I've mentioned it on Oz's live stream a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I tried to stay as evergreen as I can without compromising me, right? Because anybody who knows me will tell you that Ron is not going to stay evergreen all the time. Ron, the person, is not evergreen. But Hyperdellic, I want to be evergreen. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying that Ron and Hyperdellic are two separate entities. They are not. But Hyperdellic is who I am for YouTube. And I'm not somebody that I'm not in real life. I just try to omit certain aspects of my personal life and personality from YouTube because that's not necessarily for everybody. Some creators make plenty of content off of that, and they can. Be true to you. If you are not about evergreen content, that is okay. There is a big, wide field of people who love that stuff. I want to be, I've got a family. I want to be good enough for a family, but still genuinely funny. I don't want to dummy down my content just because kids or something like that. But I don't necessarily have to be crude and gross either. And that's not to say that everybody that's crude is gross. I'm not saying that either. Some of my favorite content creators are crude. Like, honestly. Uh, you know, or maybe a better way of putting it is gruffly speaking, right? A little more on the abrasive side. Kind of how I am in my real life. But, like, I'm just a little bit more, I'm using my church language on YouTube. Not that I go to church. I don't go to church. But that's another video. But yeah, if you are trying to get your content out to the widest audience possible, evergreen is a goal that you should have. What else? What else have I learned? There is a place and a time for everything. Understand that sometimes now is not the right time for certain content. Understand that sometimes it's better to hold off on something than to just throw it out there every time that you want to. Take for instance any of like say like the two or 3 days after Revolution had dropped on Netflix. If you were trying to put out some of your best content in those 3 days, you may have gotten quite a bit of traffic to you. Maybe. As long as some of it was kind of Revolution oriented. But if it was toy, toy collecting stuff that didn't necessarily have anything to do with Revolution, it wasn't necessarily getting as much attention as stuff that was for Revolution. So you see what I'm saying? Like, watch the market. Watch current events. See what's happening. For those of you who do current events, you already know what I'm talking about. You have to watch and see what's happening, and you have to get your content out about that kind of thing right there and then. Otherwise, you have missed the train, But yeah. A time and a place for everything. There are places on the internet for cruder things, for more sexually explicit things. I watch Vice News, and one of the coolest series I've seen is where they have these two porn stars talking about sex. It's kind of like the old Dr. Ruth stuff, but, a little bit more modern. I think one of them is not originally a woman. But anyways, place and a time for anything again. Probably not a place and time for that. Evergreen, right? And then I think the last thing that I'm going to say about what I've learned about YouTube, other than just remember that it is a journey. It is a process. Where you start is going to be very different from where you are today, right? Hopefully, if you're doing things right, you're updating and changing things, making things better, always looking to do something new, right? That's old hype right there in a nutshell. Always trying to do something new. Always trying to better myself. Always trying to one-up myself, Be all about that stuff. But also, pay attention to the analytics. YouTube gives you the tools to track your stuff, to see how your videos are doing, to watch a video and see if that one's not doing so well. Maybe at that time there's not as many viewers on, Try to put your videos out when your analytics show that your videos are, or your viewers are there. And then you'll find that you may do better. I'm still working on that. I'm still watching this stuff and paying attention to, the charts and everything like that. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what everything means. But the more that you look at it and the more that you study the stuff and the more that you go back and forth and try to figure it out, the better off you're going to be. I mean, YouTube has tons of videos out there to explain YouTube itself. It's an invaluable resource. Use it, right? So, yeah. Watch your channel analytics. Pay attention to what's happening around you. Pay attention to the world. YouTube is a dynamic thing. It's not static. It changes. The YouTube today is not the YouTube that it started out as, right? Like, it's not. It's not even close to it. So remember that if you don't like change, you're not going to like YouTube because it is always changing. And you have to be able to adapt to those changes. Because whenever a company makes a change that they wanted to make, they're not going to go back on it, not unless there's crazy backlash. But you can't always count on that, right? There's been plenty of times where I was like, I like this. And everybody else was like, well, I don't. So I didn't get what I wanted. Environmentalism. I want to talk about that real quick. Because I don't want to be preachy about it. And listen, the world is kind of getting weird, right? It's a little crazy out there. And I don't know if we're the biggest contributors to why our environment seems to be getting a little crazy, but I don't think cleaning things up and trying to be more resource minded and trying to be smarter and less wasteful, I don't think those are bad things. Even if they aren't necessary, they're still good to do. Um, I I happen to think that they're necessary. You know, I recycle whatever I can. Uh, I even use, you know, when I can, our food waste. You know, I'll mulch that in our backyard. I have a specific place for mulching. You know, I want to install a place where our possums, you know, we have possums in our neighborhood, and they're actually kind of beneficial because they take care of a lot of the pests around. And if you give them a proper place where they can make a home, they're not going to destroy your stuff. That's going to be their home, right? Same thing with bats. If you make a place for bats to be, you can have bats and they're going to eat the mosquitoes, and that'll help around your house. You know, nature's amazing. And that's why I've always been into environmentalism. It's not because I think trees are pretty. They're gorgeous. They are. Who has ever walked into a forest and not been like, ah, this is beautiful? Although I'm sure some people are like, ugh, bugs, I'm dirty, ugh, I'm sorry if that's not your thing. But breathing is your thing, I bet. It's my thing. I love breathing. And I want to breathe air that isn't going to kill me, you know? And right now, there's not a lot of places you can go in the world where the air that you're breathing is clean, right? It's just not. Um, and I also think that things like Garbage Island are a terrible thing. I can't believe that we have been so damn wasteful. And as a collector, especially somebody who, my collection is made of petroleum products, right? That we are sucking out of the earth, that we know can be harmful if there's a spill, stuff like that. And I'm not I'm not advocating that we stop using oil, but I am advocating that we be smarter. We protect our environment from what could be horrible natural disasters. We've seen it happen. The Exxon Valdez, there's been plenty of other situations like that. Uh, it, it's it's the only planet we get, and if we fuck it up, it's gone, and we will die. It's like George Carlin used to say, planet's not going anywhere. It's us that are going to die. Planet's just going to shake us off like a bad cold. It'll start over. You know? Um, I think that it's just good. I like having a better environment to live in. I like it when cities are clean and well kept. You know, you can have a city without it being disgusting, but you have to put the time into that maintenance. And as a collector, by 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 saying to the companies, "Hey, I want less packaging," that's part of what I'm trying to do. I used to do more environmental work stuff when I was younger. I was a political canvasser for a while, and that was a really interesting job. Taught me a lot of crazy things. Um, one of which is always ask for what you need. Because if you don't ask, you're not going to get a yes. If you do ask, the worst you can get is a no. Right? Environmentalism is an important thing. You're always going to hear me talk about it a little bit, okay? But I'm not a pushy environmentalist. I'm a realist. We have to live. People have to have a life, and we can't just radically change our lives overnight. But I do think that we always have to try and at least move a little bit in the right direction. Try to be a little bit less wasteful. That's a really good place to start. You don't have to be crazy about recycling. You don't have to be psycho about, I will only use these kinds of goods and stuff like that. Don't be so wasteful. That's all. Try and reuse things that you get. Try and buy things that have less packaging. Encourage companies to do the right thing. Just like with your toys, you vote with your dollars, right? Make that work in environmentalism too. Don't just, make it work for when you want Hasbro to make a new chrysanthemum because that last one was garbage. No, the last chrysanthemum, the second one, that was great. The first one was trash. But the future of this channel. Okay, so what am I going to be doing in the future? Hyperdellic wants to do all kinds of things. I'm going to do more toy videos, obviously, more reviews. My reviews are going to get better. I'm going to put more work into some of my reviews, but you're going to see less often them dropping. Like right now, I've been putting out like 3 reviews a week. I don't think I can keep that pace going for very long, right? Not unless some people start really contributing to this channel. So far, no one is. But 2 months in, I'm not expecting anything yet. I'm sure that will all come in time. I'm sure that people who like what I'm doing will want to get involved. I plan on being just like a lot of the folks that have welcomed me into the toy community. I plan on branching out myself and having other people and trying to influence other people and bring other people into the circle that I'm, becoming a part of and all of that, but, over time, little. I don't have to do everything right away. I'm a person who's trying to teach myself patience in life. So don't rush Hyperdellic. Hyperdellic won't rush you. All right. What else are we going to do in the future? Well, I want to do some more toy hunting videos. If there's anybody out in Northwest Indiana, near the Hammond, Indiana area, Portage, and all of that, let me know if you want to meet up and go toy hunting one day. We'll film a video or something. If you're another tuber that's in the area, let me know. Shit, I'll hang out. We'll go do some stuff. We'll go check out some of my favorite stomps. There's a couple of places that I definitely want to take all of you guys to. The Antique Mall, amazing. That place is crazy. There's a bunch of different places, Closet Collectibles, I think I mentioned that earlier. Crown Point Toys, a bunch of different places that are out in this area. What else do I want to do? I want to do some, I don't want to do a ton of these kinds of videos. The introspective videos, that's not hype. I'm not trying to put myself on the camera all the time. I don't mind hearing myself talk, but it's not my goal in life, right? I don't mind putting my hands on the camera or in the camera shot. I don't really mind being in a shot. That's why, like, if you want me in a live stream, just let me know. I'll come on. Allison, we still haven't done a coloring book together yet. You gotta like, I want to do some coloring. Actually, we haven't talked about it since. What else do I want to do in the future? Oh, you know what else? Actually, in the very near future, February 10th, Saturday, February 10th, Northwest Indiana Comic-Con. They've had it several years out here, but this will be the first time that I'm going to the Northwest Indiana Comic-Con. It's not a huge Comic-Con. It is quite small compared to like Wizard World or San Diego Comic-Con or any of those. Or what is it, E2C2 or C2E2? I don't remember what that one was. Something along those lines. But those are the ones that we get out here. And, I got to go to these things. That's what I'm doing now, right? and I'm going to take you guys along with me. I don't know if I'm going to do it live yet, or if I'm just going to do a bunch of recorded videos, or maybe I'll do a mix of both. And, we'll go see some people live and stuff like that there. It's only I think it's like 6 or 7 hour event. So I'll have to move through the place pretty quick, I'm thinking. But hopefully there'll be some cool like toys and stuff there. That's what I'm there for. I looked at the list of people, and I'm honestly like, they're all really cool, but that's not what I'm going there for. And I'm going to be keeping my ears to the ground for the, toy conventions and stuff like that are out in this area too. There's a ton of stuff that I want to show you guys in Indiana. And for any other YouTubers that are in Indiana, get in touch with me, man. We'll network. We'll try to get together for events and stuff like that. We don't have to get together for videos or anything like that, but if you are doing charity work or stuff like that, and you want to bring in other YouTubers and other personalities, I'm always down for doing good stuff. I don't want to go the route of Gerard the completionist, but not to name names or anything, but I think we all know what happened there. But yeah, that's it's going to be, where is it? It's at the Lake County Fairgrounds from 11 a.m. to, I want to say it said 6 p.m., but I could be wrong. It might be 5 p.m. So it's not a very long event. So get there and get through early if you can. What else? What else? What else? There's a bunch of stuff coming up, but you know what? I'll let you guys know when it's coming up and what I'm going to be doing about it. Hang on, let me look at my notes right here. But yeah, that's about it for that. I've got a ton of ideas for like live streams and stuff. Like I said, maybe we'll do a Hypecast where it's everybody doing Hype's show and tell. Everybody shows off their figures and says what the heck they were thinking when they bought that. Maybe we'll have themed nights like, what is the weirdest figure you've ever picked up? And everybody shows the messed up, most bizarre figure or toy that they have. Right? Sounds fun to me. I could sit around and talk about something like that for an hour or two. That'd be fun. I mean, if you guys have made it this far in the video, you'll obviously enjoy that kind of stuff. But in summation, like, I've learned a lot, and I've made a bunch of friends in the last 2 months. And I've met really cool people. I have definitely been introduced to some different folks. There are some more walks of life out there than I thought there were, and that's cool. Listen, I grew up in Chicago. I'm all about diversity and being a part of a culture that has so many different influences in it. I mean, that's definitely the toy community. There are so many different kinds of toys and different lines and ways to enjoy your toys, customizing, kit bashing, creating from scratch. People that make their own toys just blow my mind sometimes. You guys are definitely going to see a lot more from me in the next few years. I don't think I'm going anywhere. But like I said, I am going to slow down. I have been keeping kind of a breakneck pace. But I'll probably still be putting out, 3 videos a week, just not all reviews, right? We're going to mix it up more. Because I don't want to get locked into doing just one format either. I get burnt out on things pretty easily, so I don't want to burn myself out on something that I truly do enjoy. So that's just where I'm at. And I appreciate all of you that are coming along with me on my Toytuber journey. It's been fun. It's been weird. In a good way. Met awesome people. People that you know what, I just want to give a shout out to a few people right now. Adam and Toy Mama from Radical Toys, Christina, and Mary, Adam's mom. Mary, you're awesome. I love you. Thank you for always being my number one cheerleader. One of these days, I'm going to do something really nice for you. And Adam's sister, Carol. No, not Carol. Carol's somebody else. I think. I don't know. But Adam's sister has also been, I think she subscribes and she's, commented and been supportive too. So everybody at Radical Toys, thank you guys. Master Versal Toy Hunter, Eldor, buddy, I love you. Thank you for always being kind online. Thank you for always saying, hey, keep on doing your content and make sure that you get some more stuff out. I want to see some more of your jumping spiders, bro. That was a very cool, nice little, like, almost ASMR video. I think that would be awesome. Spiders, ASMR, Eldor. I think I just made a new thing, bro. You should do that. We should do stream Lego builds or something. Something creative. I would love to hang out with you online for a little while. Who else? Brick something. Brick. Thank you. Supportive. You were definitely inspiring. You helped me to get to that point. Like, yeah, just do this. Make the art and do what you want to do. Enjoy it and put touches of you into it. Try to push it a little bit further. Try to see how cool of a video you can make. It's an art. It is an art. Try it. Look at it from that standpoint and, have fun. Who else? Oh, Hebro. Love you, bro. Hebro is one of my favorite customizers and toy personality folk online. Manchild, Mr. Home Arcade. You guys are great. I love your reviews. They are inspiring and they help me to want to build and make better of my channel. And I love conversing with you guys, all of you YouTubers that are out there. It has been very fun, and I look forward to much more of it. I think I've kept all of you long enough and made you listen to my furnace and my sump pump kick on because I'm in my basement. Hopefully the noise cancellation cuts out a little bit of it, but you're seeing the sausage get made. But yeah, I've got to get ready to go get my little munchkin soon because, I got a normal life to live. But yeah, again, to my subscribers and viewers, thank you. And please stick with me. I'll do more stuff. You'll see all kinds of great stuff in the future. To my friends that I have made on YouTube, thank you. Thank you guys for being welcoming. And Oz, thank you for welcoming me into the ring and the community that you have going on. Everybody has been so cool. So very, very cool. And I appreciate that. It's nice. It's nice. Yeah, it's been a really good experience. Maybe this is just the honeymoon phase. But so far, everybody that's reached out to me has been amazing. Everybody who has commented has been kind and just so very nice. I appreciate that so much. The world is a good place right now for me, and I'm enjoying my time here, and I hope that you guys are enjoying my content, and I will keep on doing it if you keep on watching, and I love you guys for it. Thank you. I appreciate it. And again, if you haven't, subscribe and hit the like button. So that I can get seen in the meta. Come on. I'm at like 216. I gotta get to 500 at least. All right, guys. Have a great one. Enjoy the rest of your day, week, year, whatever it will be until the next time I see you. And, just comment down below if you want to say hi. Reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook Messenger. And, yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. And I look forward to making you all laugh a little bit more throughout the next rest of this year. All right. Well, this has been Hyperdellic. You have a good one, kids.